Hello guys and girls, and welcome back to another episode of Seb Talks Sports, sponsored by Hoopin and Luton, the place to go to for your favourite new and vintage jerseys and apparel from all things basketball. Today I've got another fantastic guest on Seb Talks Sports, a Welsh rugby legend who won 3 caps for the British and Irish Lions in 2001 on the team's tour to Australia and made a further 48 appearances for the Wales national team, scoring 16 international tries in the process. It's the lightning quick Welsh winger himself, Dafydd James. Enjoy. My guest today is a British and Irish Lions winger who played for 12 years for the Wales national team and scored 16 tries in 51 international appearances across an illustrious career for both club and country. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome Dafydd James to Seb Talks Sports. Dafydd, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for joining me today.
No, it's a pleasure to just chew the fat, so to speak, and see what's what.
Brilliant stuff. Let's get into it. Okay, so I want to go right back to the very beginning to start with. So what are your earliest memories of rugby and who was your sporting inspiration growing up?
I don't know, 5 or 6 years old probably, when I was in South Africa. We were expats, so we were living over there. My father played rugby, so he's probably my inspiration. But playing up in the high veld in northeastern Transvaal, and it was rugby in the winter and athletics or cricket in the summer. So listen, it was get out there. I was going to say don the boots, but we didn't wear boots. It was just barefooted running around rugby. So and throw the ball around. So that's my first experiences, and just go out, enjoyed it. I wasn't particularly very good. I could just run pretty quick, and that's where it was really. So my inspiration growing up really was my father, because I always look up to your parents or your siblings, and in particular it was my father at that time, and he was playing. We used to go and watch him play quite a bit, and that's how it all began.
Fantastic. Okay, so after coming up through the ranks at Kenfig Hill RFC and a season at Bridgend, the national team were already calling for the services of Dafydd James, because in '96, Wales embarked on a tour of Australia, where in the second and final test match against the Wallabies, a fresh-faced 20-year-old back in the name of Dafydd James came off the bench to represent the Wales senior team for the very first time. So how did it feel to receive that call-up from Kevin Bowring to represent the national side? What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it was everything really. The year before, I was playing for Kenfig Hill. I started my senior career a year earlier. I went through the youth sort of system, and my club at the time, Kenfig Hill, said I wasn't good enough to go play first-class rugby. And in my first season, when I took the plunge and went to Bridgend, had an opportunity, and I had a purple patch season, really. It went well. I thrived on that sort of stage and that environment, and top class rugby at the time, and to get the call up was something sensational really. And it was going from Blackwood one year to Ballymore within the space of a year, and donning the Welsh shirt. Eventually at the end of the tour, I think it was a 10 game tour, whereby we toured for 6.5 weeks, I think it was, back in '96, and fabulous experience. Tough tour, but I relished that opportunity. I loved the big stage, and that's where I got my kick, and that's where I put in all the hard work, the endeavour, the training, and that's what it was for really. And it paid off, and it was in the final test in Sydney that I came on for Nigel Davis. Ian Evans said he was going to come off for me earlier on in the day, but he didn't. And as the time was ticking away, Nigel Davis went down, and I come on in the centre, and played, I think it was the last 15 minutes or so, and against the likes of Campese and Pat Howard and co.
It's a pretty tough team to face.
Yeah, they were a very good outfit. It was the Tim Horan and Little in the centres, and they were a formidable outfit there. Georgie Gregan at 9, and they were a pretty good outfit, and it was a tough place to go, and it was a baptism of fire. It was Wales were in the transitional stage, really going through a couple of rough patches, and a young boy-faced Dafydd James come out and performed. It was just, I loved the fast track. I loved getting the ball in my hands and running and expressing myself. And I think, that's where some of the rugby I see in today's game, is lost, really. I think, it's all about playing spaces, not faces, and go out and enjoy as a child, really.
Very, very interesting. So after gaining a few years of experience in that Wales senior team and establishing yourself on the wing in the starting lineup, the prospect of a home Rugby World Cup came to fruition because in 1999, the biggest tournament in the sport of rugby union was to be principally hosted right here in Wales, with all 4 of the country's home games played at the Millennium Stadium, as it was named at the time. Quarter-final defeat at the hands of eventual winners Australia, which we were just talking about, unfortunately meant you didn't make it any further than the last 8. But just how exciting was the tournament for yourself and your teammates? And did you feel any additional pressure as the host nation?
Well, there was always an added amount of pressure because it was a home, the home nation really playing in arguably the best stadium in the world, the Millennium Stadium as it was called then, and the Principality. Now, the media frenzy, the excitement, the buzz, and I relished that. I thrived in that sort of environment. If you didn't have the nerves, and the jitter, the little bit of anxiety, then I felt that I wasn't up to the game really. So I loved that sort of atmosphere and that intensity. But yeah, look, we fell short. We were on the back of a 10-game winning streak. We played Argentina in the first match. That was the pinnacle. Going there wasn't a great spectacle, it has to be said, in the first game of the tournament against Argentina. And then we came up against, if I recall correctly, where we lost our 10 or 11 game winning streak against Samoa, which was disappointing, but put us on a quarter-final where we'd have to face against the likes of Australia, who went on to win the tournament at the end. And they were exceptional and very creative with the likes of Larkham, Latham and Ben Toon and, a whole host of top-end players. But wonderful experience, great atmosphere, buzz. The world focus is looking on you, and in that sort of cauldron. And it's a very special thing to play for your country, but in your home stadium and with that sort of magnitude of event is something else really. So yeah, blessed, privilege, and can't remember a lot about the whole tournament as it goes, but yeah, it was a good experience from what I can remember.
Have you got one sort of favourite memory from those years?
Well, obviously, when you get your first cap, that's a childhood dream, isn't it, really? And, to get that was away from home. That was, all them miles away. And then I had my first full international in Rome against Italy. Lucky enough to pick up a try on debut, if you like. And, special moments, little things, and, savouring the anthem, which, I'd say, perhaps... I'm a bit biased, I guess, that arguably one of the best anthems in the world, where it resonates in the cauldron and reverberates around the stadium is fantastic. And that's something to treasure, really. But, when I went through a patch of injuries and I was told I'd never play again, and coming back, I was a British Lion at the time and told I'd never play again. And then I come back and I managed to get another 20 or so caps. And that was another little milestone for me, where people had knocked me, said I wasn't good enough. And I managed to come back and, got another couple of caps.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get into that in a little bit, so I'm excited to talk about that. But firstly, of course, we've got to touch on your Lions tenure, because after a couple of years in 2001, which is, of course, a very special year for you indeed, after an impressive individual campaign at that year's Six Nations, including a try against France in a huge upset in Paris, which was a great 43-35 win, as well as at clubside Bridgend during your second stint there, you deservedly cemented your spot as one of the 5 wingers in Graham Henry's squad on that year's 2001 tour to Australia for the Lions. You played in all 3 test matches against the Wallabies and even scored a try in the first, which helped the Lions secure a 29-13 win in the opening fixture. So how much did the prestigious honour of being selected to and playing for the Lions mean to you as a player, and what are your memories from that tour?
Well, I can remember back when I was a schoolboy, the age of 12, I think I was doing a paper round in 12, 13, whatever, and watching the British and Irish Lions tour in Australia with Nick Farr-Jones, Rob Jones, and Ian Evans and Koga, the Hastings boys. And I can remember watching that and thinking, wow, I'd love to be there at one stage. And the irony was I went to Australia and played for the Lions and thereafter. But yeah, it was a process, really. I was on standby for the 97 one, which a lot of people don't know about, but I was going to go when Will Greenwood had his bump. I was the next on the plane, but Geeks didn't need any extra really, because it was I think it was only 2 games left of the tournament, I think, or the tour, and that I just fell a little bit short on that one. So that was my first proper taste. Still got the contract, if you like, in the house, and it was like, well, yeah, I got this close. I wanted to go one step closer. And so it was a process. I took my training seriously. I was trying to work on different aspects, skill aspects, nutrition, little things, and trying to improve. And, I started doing a lot of visualization and mental preparation, because the top 3 inches is vitally important on the top end. in the big elite level, if you like, and it paid dividends. And I had a good season 2000. It was exceptional. It was just one of them things where you hear sports people say they were in the flow, and I just prepared meticulously for every game, the process kept leading up to it. Actually, it was about 2 or 3 years prior to it, and it just all come together in one go. And I just felt good in myself. I felt sharp. I felt comfortable, and it just created them opportunities, and they just seemed to open up in front of me, and I grasped them with both hands. And it was a nerve-wracking experience when they were naming the team, and we were training with the Scarlets, and I was a bag of nerves, and my father was ringing me all the time, and it was like, look, get off the phone, because I don't know whether they're going to call, whether I'm in, or whether I'm not in, or whatever. Yeah. After having an exceptional time, really, in the Six Nations and so on. And I was oblivious, really. I was training in the gym. I didn't go out on the field because I just couldn't concentrate. And then Gareth Jenkins come in with Scott Quinnell, and I got the nod. And, it was a buzz. It was exceptional. It was the closest I've been to, riding on the crest of a wave. It was just sensational. But then, for me, that was the first hurdle, and it wasn't about just getting on the plane. I wanted to go one step further. I wanted to prove myself. And once again, the media started chirping up. I wasn't good enough. I'd only played 1 or 2 games, and all this sort of malarkey, which was quite hurtful. But I used that in my favour to push me and inspire me to move on. And normally, historically, when you go on the tours, they normally play one of the strongest sort of teams first, the lineup, the best lineup, so to speak, or what they consider the best. And I wasn't involved. And it was like, oh, okay, let's see how they go. And they played in Western Australia. We flew into Perth. Exceptional buzz. We had to gel together as 4 nations in a short space of time. We went to Tilney Hall, and the build up to it was amazing. I was sharing with Johnny Wilkinson and getting to know Martin Johnson and these sort of people who, have become relatively good friends with now. And we went over there. Wasn't picked, like I said, for the first one against Western Australia. And we played in Perth. And it was a cricket oval, and it was a cricket score. It was 112 points or something ridiculous, I think it was. And it was like, oh, wow, I'm up against it now. And it was Ben Cohen, it was Dan Luger, and I think it was Ian Bolshaw with the back 3. And I can remember Graham Henry saying, right, the second game, we're going to play everybody in the first 2 games, so that dispelled that sort of theory, but that was the best team. And then he said, right, go out and express yourself. So the back 3, taking the field there, we went to North Queensland in a place called Townsville, which is the back of beyond, blinking boiling, and it was humid, and it was a great opportunity. And the back 3 was Jason Robinson, myself, and Matt Perry. And the irony was that was the back 3 that went on to start in the test. And, it was a dream come true, and it was just something special. I just took my opportunities, and it just all seemed to work in my favour, and it was great. And in a sense, it was Rob Henderson, who wasn't picked as well. And, so a couple of the guys who were supposedly in the dirt trackers, they call it the dirt trackers, the boys who were not involved in the first sort of setup, if you like, they call them the dirt trackers, they're carrying the bags and all this sort of malarkey. And we went on and, put our hands up, and it paid dividends.
Absolutely, yeah. Just on the media side as well, I think if anyone hasn't seen BBC Sports Slam, definitely get on that, because that's a fantastic and very insightful documentary into the Wales team and the kind of media pressure they were facing at the time. And also hearing that you shared with Johnny Wilkinson, who is my absolute hero, that's very interesting as well. So yeah, fantastic. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit more. In 2008, while playing for Scarlets against Canuck, you unfortunately suffered a significant neck injury and fractured a vertebrae. Obviously, an incredibly serious injury which saw both your time at Parky Scarlets and effectively your on-field career sadly come to an end. And I know you had further outings for Bridgend again, Cardiff Blues and Sale in the Premiership after, but just how challenging did that neck injury ultimately prove to you from a physical standpoint? Because rugby at that point was all you'd ever known, really.
Well, it wasn't exactly all I'd ever known. It was I'd lived a life prior to that where I was an apprentice in Sony's, and I went on to Swansea University to electrical and electronic engineering. And then, I was fortunate enough, student dream, really. It all went professional, and, it just happened for me. It's just one of them things. And, the injury against Connacht, I missed the 2005 Lions tour. I was aiming for the 2009. I thought, right, I'm going to do this again. I want to prove people that I'm good enough to do this. And once again, I felt great in myself, and it was quite an innocuous sort of injury. I was carving through against Connacht. It was like, wow, I feel fresh. I feel hungry for the game. And it was quite innocuous, really. I can remember going for the line, an arcing run, if you like. And one player was on my left, which I didn't see, and one player on my right. So I was looking at the right, and they both pincered me. I fractured my vertebrae and bulging disc. So disc injury. And then subsequently, I was facing a race against time to get back on the field. And cut long story short, my contract was terminated and the wheels fell off. It was horrendous, really. And the people who were involved, didn't really care. And that was what was really disappointing. But it is what it is. And life throws us some curveballs, right? So I ended up going to Cardiff. I was down in South France initially. I thought, right, okay, we'll try again. On the 12th hour, I had a call from Di Young asking me if I'd come back to Cardiff and play there. And I thought, right, I'll give it another go. I want to prove people wrong. And so I came back, didn't really figure in his plans as really just to make the numbers up. And that disappointed me, such as the animal I am. And I went up to Sale and with Jason Robinson and Charlie Hodgson and them sort of boys, and they were on the back of a hammering most of the time. It's a very competitive league. It's the English, the Zurich, I think it was at the time, Premier, or the Gallagher or whatever it's called. And it was tough. It was a tall order. They were facing relegation, and unfortunately on that particular year they did get relegated. And did they get relegated that year? I don't know. I'm not sure, but we weren't very good anyway. But cut long story short. So unfortunately, so if I got that wrong, I do apologise, but we were struggling.
Yeah, I know, particularly that point in your life, you've talked quite openly about going through a divorce, living at the back of your car, quite a lot of big changes in your life, and you're going through quite a tough time. Do you think governing bodies like the WRU need to be doing more in terms of player welfare and player support off the pitch?
Oh, absolutely. I think if you talk to them, they're doing a wonderful job, but it's nonsense. I don't think they're doing enough. I think it's a paper to, an admin sort of exercise, ticking a box. We're just pieces of meat at the end of the day. And I found out that the hard way. And when I've had my hours of need, there's been no one there. And that's hard. And that's a sobering experience. It's an emotional thing to deal with, and you start questioning your own self-worth. And, and that's where, I share some of my story and whatever to try and help other people, really, because I know for a fact that a number of these guys have lived and breathed rugby. I have experienced working in Sony's and working prior to professional sport. You don't get that buzz, you don't get that exhilaration, that intensity, that camaraderie, and a beat of heartbeat is gone. And it's hard to emulate that ever again. And you're not that old where you're hanging up your toolbox, really, so to speak, and getting your pension. And it's like being in the military, I guess. Exactly the same sort of thing. Everything you've known is structured, is meticulous. Your itinerary's there, your clothing, what you're going to wear, where you're going, where you're staying. You know exactly what you're doing there's the door and on your way. And that is exceptionally hard to deal with. Yeah, it is hard to deal with.
I can imagine. Wow. Okay, so since retiring as a player, you've taken your skills into the commentary booth and started doing a huge amount of media work for BBC Sport, Radio Cymru, and many other platforms, bringing your rugby expertise to the fans in a whole new way altogether, as well as featuring on podcasts like mine right now. And it's obviously, of course, great to see ex-players covering the game, as it means us viewers and listeners receive useful additional insight that we don't get otherwise from pundits who have never been there and done it before. So how much do you enjoy the broadcasting side of things, and what aspirations do you have in the future in the world of sports media?
Yeah, it's the closest I get to being on the field, isn't it? Reality is hit home that you're never going to do it again. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. Perhaps I should have enjoyed it a bit more when I was there. But, I've done what I did, and I can't change that. It's good. It's what I've lived and breathed, really. So you're just talking about, and I'm quite passionate about different things and the grassroots, which I think is falling at the moment or failing. I just say what I see on the field, and hopefully it comes across okay. And something must be going okay because they keep on asking me to do it. So yeah, it's just interesting from the other perspective, really. And hopefully people can understand what I'm trying to say. And hopefully I do speak a little bit of sense. And it's reasonably enjoyable. It's not the same, it'll never be the same, but there's harder things to do. And, hopefully I can get a little bit more of it. I do quite enjoy it. And, I'm involved with the consultancy. You talk about health and well-being. And I'm a trustee and non-executive director now for a mental health charity. So I'm very passionate about that sort of stuff. And, keep myself fit. I do train people. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. And I try to embody what I'm trying to convey, really, the message I'm trying to convey, that it doesn't matter how fit you are or how healthy you are. If you have a little bout of mental health, it seldom goes away. And it can always be there in different ways. It's about how you control it, how you deal with it. I'm a big believer in there are other people out there to help you, but it's easier said than done. I can help other people, but I can't help myself.
Yeah, no, well said. Okay, David, I'm going to end with some quick fire questions. You ready?
Go for it, yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, favorite takeaway food?
Indian.
Nice choice. Okay, dogs or cats?
Dog, he's over there.
There we go. Brilliant. Okay, favourite music artist?
Ed Sheeran.
Favourite sports film?
Field of Dreams.
Okay, first car?
Oh, shocker. Ford Escort. Bought it from my stack. Not a brilliant car, but it was good. It served me well. Ford Escort, back in the day.
Got it from A to B. Okay, I know you're still big into your fitness and I mean in ridiculous shape for 46. So what's your proudest fitness achievement to date?
I like challenging myself to help other people, really. So my 31 marathons in 31 days, really, and for mental health and Noah's Ark, the children's thing. So I suppose that I'll be doing several others. I sometimes do cycle rides from Cardiff to Paris and things like that, raise money for charity. So them sort of things, really. I haven't got one in particular. It's just as I go, really.
Fantastic. Okay, the most rewarding victory you've had in a Wales shirt?
Ooh. Wales, England, Wembley, 99. We were supposed to play in Millennium or Principality, but obviously we were playing in Wembley. And that victory in the end, 33-31, I think it was in the end, that was a big day. That was a big day. Realistically, we probably shouldn't have won the game, but we had Neil Jenkins who kept us in it. And then the infamous Scott Gibbs scored in the dire moments, and Neil Jenkins ironically put it over to win the game. That was a sublime atmosphere, actually. And yeah, so great before they knocked it down. I think it might have been one of the last ever games there as well, I think.
Yeah, I think also victories like that hurt just that bit more for the rival when it is your rivals and you're playing in their home stadium. So to get that one over England must be special.
Absolutely. But, in all honesty, I'd say England probably deserved to win that game. But, we just stole at the end and, we'll take that.
There we go. Okay, obviously we talked about that Samoa game, the 99 World Cup earlier. So true or false, running headfirst into the post hurts?
True.
True.
My kids love that one. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, can you describe the infamous Battle of Brive in one word for me?
Battle of Brive.
Brive. Apologies.
Gladiatorial.
Very good word.
Exceptional game.
Yeah, I bet. How was that to be involved in that? Have you ever seen anything like that before on a rugby pitch?
No, but in fairness, back in the day, I know, you had to clean the game up and, there's boots going and all this sort of malarkey. But, I quite like clearing the ruck out and people, raking you out within the laws, the laws. And the game had everything from fighting, little skirmishes, which you can't get no violence, but it was like the Colosseum in the French champions at the time, I think, a whole array of French internationals. And we were just this little valley team that come down with some great players like Martin Williams, Kevin Morgan, Dale McIntosh, amongst other players, took it to them really, and they didn't like it, and then he started fighting, but they picked the wrong bunch to fight with because these guys will bar brawl the best of them, which they didn't. Yeah, it was just exceptional really. And if you watch it in the context of the game, it was free flowing, it was tries, it had everything. It had literally everything. There was fights, don't get me wrong. I'm not for all the fighting and all that sort of stuff, but if it squares up, clears the air, get on with it and away to go. But, obviously you can't do that these days, and that's fine and that's fair enough. But it just cleared the air and no one was serious here, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And it just had everything. And I think Jonathan Davis's comments at the end of it were, summed the game up impeccably, really. He said that the referee bottled it, and he did. And he gave a try for them when they were held up over the line, and he just could see, whoa, I need to get out of here. And it was great. And then the antics in the bar afterwards was something else. It was like the Wild West, like really very, very fun times playing in Ponty with a great bunch. You probably wouldn't get a better family sort of environment club. They still come out in their thousands to watch 3,000 to 5,000 for second tier rugby, which I think is exceptional in this day and age.
Absolutely. Okay, so the one up-and-coming Welsh player we should all be looking out for at next autumn's Rugby World Cup.
Ooh, that's interesting. Tame Basham is a great player. They found him, they pulled him out. Jack Morgan coming on. Obviously, the likes of Rhys Zammit. I think he'll develop a bit more. There's a couple of good ones. I'm hoping that we can uncover a nice 10. But, the likes of Zammit and, the Basham and Jack Morgan are probably coming to the fold a lot more over the next year or so. Hopefully we can find a replacement for Alan Jones because, otherwise he's going to get 300 caps, I think.
Is Christ Chinza that replacement, do you think, at number 4?
Yeah, potentially. There's another lad down in Exeter who will probably be knocking on the door, a guy called Dafydd James, who's a product of the Ospreys. He's down there with Christ Chenza down there. He's a big unit. Maybe he'll come into the fold. His dad played for Wales back in the day. He's a bit of a liability, in all honesty. But Dafydd James is a hell of an athlete, and he may be coming through as well. You need game time, and that's what I like about some of the players leaving Wales is because they're playing in a different intensity. You're out at the Goldfish Bowl, and you get that exposure to playing against world world-class players week in, week out, really. And the Champions Cup or whatever hasn't really materialised in my eyes with the South Africans at this moment in time.
Yeah, no, very interesting. Okay, if you could appear on any game show, what would it be?
Question of sport?
Question of sport, yeah? You ever been on?
No.
Never
I think
before.
I was on a question the other day. Someone texted me and said, "Oh, you were on a question the other day." So there we are.
There we go. Okay, your go-to karaoke song?
I can't sing for toffee, but if I was going to sing, I'd just have to scream something out like a Battle of Hell or something, really. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not a karaoke man, really, but if I got to, I will.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, would you rather score a game-winning try or make a game-saving tackle?
Ooh, difficult one, that. I thrived on both, really. I think the buzz you get with the try is exceptional. I loved scoring tries. Tries was my big thing, my adrenaline sort of rush. But try, save and tackle, if the team win, then, it's equal. It's par for par. So if put it on the line, score and try.
Nice. Okay, and finally, who is going to win the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France?
Your money's got to be on France at the minute, the way that they're playing, and Dupont is exceptional. But what I like about the French, they got big units now who are mobile. If anybody could win the World Cup, it's Sean Edwards. I think he's just proved his worth, and he's galvanised the team together, really, with his hard edge and, his no frills sort of tactics. And I think he's exceptional. He's worth his weight in gold, really. But I'd say France. It'd be interesting to see how New Zealand go, and they seem to be slipping a little bit uncharacteristic errors a lot of the time. Australia, I don't know what the heck's happened to them down there. South Africa are always going to be there or thereabouts, but England will come. They will develop. They're hit and miss with Eddie Jones at the moment.
Yeah,
Scotland will produce some good performances. Ireland will tip themselves, but I don't think they can quite make it right to the end. I think they'll get semi-finals or something. But yeah, if I was going to put money on it, I'd probably say France, going on what I've seen. I just hope we can sort ourselves out. We seem to have capitulated a little bit, and it's back at the drawing board from my point of view. Yeah.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Hope we at least get a good tournament, and I think we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure, and it will be good. It'll be great, and great to see crowds back after the 2 years we've had. It's important to see people coming back out and enjoying themselves.
Absolutely. Dafydd, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on my show. Where can people find you on social media? Check out your brilliant media work and anything else you've currently got going on.
Just on my Twitter page, or Dafydd James 14, I think it is, or whatever. I'm not really sure. I'm not really that clued up with all this social media. Or Dafydd James Official on my Instagram. I don't know how to get a blue tick, but that's me. That's me, really. I do a lot of stuff, like I said, for charities. I'm big on the mental health sort of side, which is very prevalent, and it probably will be for a long, long time. If anybody's struggling, please reach out. There are channels, and if I can help anybody in any way, then please let me know, and stay safe.
Absolutely well said. I'm going to make sure to leave all of the links down below so people can find you and help support all the great work you're doing. So once again, Dafydd, thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, good luck with everything you're doing.
Really appreciate that. Cheers.
That was my interview with the man himself, Dafydd James, a sensational rugby player who had an incredible career for both club and country, and many stories to share from his time both on and away from the pitch. Dafydd's recent efforts in raising both awareness and funds for positive mental health causes have been monumental, and he serves as a true inspiration to us all. Thank you so much, Dafydd, for speaking out on a topic that means a lot to not just me, but the wider community too. If you'd like to keep up to date with Dafydd, then you can do so across his social media platforms. All the links you need are in the description of this episode. I've got many more great guests coming very soon, so stay tuned right here on Seb Talks Sports. Catch you soon, guys.